If you hold XRP, XLM, XDC, or HBAR, this might be the most important video you'll watch all year. Because the banks? They're not waiting anymore. While retail investors argue over meme coins and hype cycles, the financial elite are preparing to flip the switch, quietly, strategically, and globally. And these 4 coins? They're not part of the plan. They are the plan. So before the system goes fully live, before liquidity vanishes and prices explode, let me walk you through exactly how these 4 digital assets are embedded into the future of finance, who's behind it, and why the coming flip is closer than most people think. Subscribe to Be Crypto Smart for more deep dive breakdowns you won't hear anywhere else. The institutional blueprint for a new financial system. Let's start with the blueprint. Because yes, there is one. SWIFT, the outdated messaging network that's been used by banks for decades, is being phased out. Not tomorrow. Not next decade. Now, institutions are moving toward faster, programmable, interoperable digital settlement systems. And guess which 4 names keep showing up? XRP for real-time liquidity. XLM for cross-border micropayments. XDC for enterprise trade finance. HBAR for public-private integration and compliance-focused DLT. Each one solves a different piece of the same global problem, friction. Friction in value transfer, friction in liquidity, friction in compliance, friction in transparency. And they're not solving it with theory or hype. They're solving it with live infrastructure, pilot programs, and enterprise integration that's already underway. But here's the catch. None of them are being hyped by mainstream outlets. Why? Because institutions don't front-run retail. They accumulate in silence. They sign NDAs. They run pilots in private sandboxes. They don't want you to know until it's too late to catch the early wave. Ripple, for example, isn't building a crypto brand. It's building RippleNet, a fully regulated liquidity solution that plugs directly into central banks, payment corridors, and FX providers. Its flagship tech, on-demand liquidity, already reduces the need for pre-funded accounts. That's a cost-saver banks can't ignore. Stellar isn't here for Twitter engagement. It's been quietly laying the plumbing for fiat-to-crypto interoperability across emerging markets. It's working hand-in-hand with NGOs, development funds, and financial institutions who are trying to solve access, not trend chase. XDC, meanwhile, is building in a totally different direction. Enterprise-grade trade finance. It's embedded into trade trust and other initiatives backed by national regulators. This isn't about NFTs. It's about tokenizing invoices, bills of lading, letters of credit, and replacing the decades-old infrastructure that clogs up $19 trillion in global trade. And HBAR? That's the dark horse that already won. With a governing council of world-leading corporations and banks, and use cases in everything from carbon markets to retail payment micropayments to CBDC infrastructure, Hedera's DLT is designed for systems that can't afford to fail. It's not running proof-of-concept experiments, it's running production-grade solutions right now. Still think this is just crypto hype? Then ask yourself, why are banks already plugged into these ecosystems? Why are regulatory frameworks quietly shifting to accommodate DLT-based settlement? Why is ISO 20022 now live? And why are these 4 tokens either compliant with it or natively designed for it? This isn't speculation anymore. This isn't a white paper roadmap. This is infrastructure, and it's already operational. XRP, the liquidity engine behind global settlement. Let's zoom in on XRP. XRP isn't just another fast token. It was engineered to be the backbone of international liquidity. Specifically, to replace the archaic Nostro Vostro system, where banks have to park billions of dollars in foreign accounts just to facilitate cross-border transactions. That's trillions in locked capital waiting to be freed. Ripple's on-demand liquidity ODL solution is the key. It uses XRP as a bridge asset, enabling near-instant settlement across jurisdictions. No need for correspondent banking, no need for pre-funding, and no exposure to volatile forex windows. Today, ODL is operational in over 70 countries, and the list is growing. Post-lawsuit clarity in the US has removed a major institutional roadblock. Banks that were previously watching from the sidelines are now testing, piloting, and in some cases already transacting with XRP. Ripple has built one of the most advanced real-time liquidity networks in existence. Let's name names. Bank of America is closely aligned, with Ripple listed as a key partner for cross-border innovation. Santander, one of Europe's biggest banks, has integrated Ripple Tech into its OnePay FX system. Tranglo, Ripple's corridor into Southeast Asia, is now powering transactions in real time using XRP. Novati, a digital payments company in Australia, runs Ripple corridors to Southeast Asia and beyond. QNB, Qatar's largest bank, is collaborating with Ripple to launch remittance corridors into Asia. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Ripple has over 300 institutional partners worldwide. But here's where it gets bigger. CBDCs. Ripple isn't just providing liquidity. It's laying the infrastructure for central bank digital currencies. Governments like Palau, Bhutan, and Montenegro are using Ripple's CBDC platform to test and deploy sovereign digital currencies. These pilots aren't speculative, they're real-world applications with real populations. Think about that. A private company running tokenized, programmable currencies for governments. And all of it runs on XRP ledger architecture. What most holders don't understand is this. Ripple's game plan was never retail-focused. It's enterprise-first, regulator-compliant, and institution-driven. That means the switch won't be loud. It won't be public. It'll come in the form of a sudden liquidity migration when a major bank, or a consortium of them, shifts from legacy corridors to ODL rails overnight. You won't see it coming. But when it happens, it will be too late to front-run. That's why smart money is already positioning. Because when XRP activates at scale, it doesn't just move price. It moves the entire plumbing of global value transfer. XLM, quietly dominating microfinance and remittance corridors. Now let's talk about Stellar Lumens, XLM. Stellar is the unsung hero of financial inclusion. It's built for fast, cheap, and compliant payments that reach anyone, anywhere. But what makes XLM dangerous in the best way is that it doesn't need attention to gain traction. It just needs access. And that's exactly what it's been quietly building across emerging markets, remittance corridors, and grassroots banking systems. Let's talk about one of the biggest partnerships first, MoneyGram. MoneyGram and Stellar flipped the script on the remittance industry. Together, they created a global fiat-to-crypto on/off-ramp that spans over 300,000 retail locations in 180-plus countries. Through this system, users can walk into a MoneyGram outlet with cash and walk out with USDC on Stellar rails, or the reverse. No bank account, no credit check, no waiting days for approvals. That is real-world financial empowerment. But that's just the start. Stellar has embedded itself in the public sector too. The UNCDF, United Nations Capital Development Fund, uses Stellar for blockchain-based payments in humanitarian aid and last-mile delivery systems. USDC, the second-largest stablecoin in the world, runs on Stellar rails alongside Ethereum and Solana, but with lower fees and faster settlement. That's why Stellar is rapidly becoming the chain of choice for stablecoin utility in developing nations. Partners like Leaf Global, Cowrie Exchange, and Wire are using Stellar to connect regions across Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America with seamless money movement. Stellar isn't trying to be the next Ethereum. It's not interested in buzzwords like DeFi summer or speculative token launches. It's focused on payment rails, compliance, and institutional-grade speed. And now, with the integration of Sorbonne smart contracts, the Stellar Development Foundation has moved beyond payments. Their investment in Palago, a decentralized trade finance platform, shows they're building financial logic into Stellar's infrastructure. Smart contracts now allow institutions to program credit issuance, supply chain finance, and yield products, all on a low-cost, fast settlement layer 1. Here's why that's huge. A microlender in Uganda can offer a real-time loan to a farmer using Sorbonne logic. A diaspora worker in London can send remittances to a family in Nigeria, instantly in dollars or local currency. A fintech in Brazil can build a full neobank on Stellar rails, without needing a back-end banking license. These aren't fantasies. They're live use cases. And because Stellar is open source, fast, and designed with compliance in mind, it's become the quiet favorite for NGOs, central banks, and fintech startups that need a plug-and-play blockchain solution that actually works. The most ironic part? While the crypto crowd chased Layer 2s, APYs, and memecoins, Stellar kept its head down and built Rails. Rails that are now powering some of the most underappreciated but high-volume financial flows in the world. So if you're holding XLM, you're not betting on hype. You're holding infrastructure. And just like XRP, it's doing it without fanfare. Next time you hear someone say XLM is boring or dead, remind them, boring is what global institutions want. Dead is what the old payment rails are becoming. Stellar didn't come to play, came to replace. XDC, the trade finance backbone no one's watching. If you're holding XDC, you're early to a sector most investors don't even understand, trade finance. $19 trillion in global trade flows through outdated, paper-based systems. XDC Network, powered by XINFin, is rewriting that playbook. Here's what they've accomplished. Integration into TradeTrust, a Singapore-based global trade standard. Partnerships with IMDA, ITFA, and TFRM. Tokenization of real-world assets, invoices, and letters of credit. The result? XDC is being positioned as the settlement layer for digitized trade documents, something banks, freight companies, and ports need, not want. And while XDC sits under the radar, institutions like Swissbank, R3Corda, and MyContract are building on top of it. XDC isn't a coin for traders. It's a utility engine for the B2B financial infrastructure that powers the world. And when that switch flips, it won't be subtle. HBAR, the enterprise DLT no one believed would work. Finally, Hedera HBAR, the most enterprise-adopted DLT in existence. HBAR isn't trying to be another Ethereum. It's not here to chase DeFi or NFT trends. It's designed from the ground up for governments, banks, and global corporations that need security, speed, and governance transparency. Let's talk receipts. Governing council includes Google, IBM, Boeing, Dell, Standard Bank, and Shinhan Bank. Used by Dovu, Avery Dennison, HBAR for supply chain and sustainability tracking. Running tokenized CBDC pilots through MTech, Drop, and WorldPay/FIS. BAR's architecture makes it nearly impossible to fork, spam, or manipulate. That's why regulated environments are choosing Hedera over Ethereum. And as tokenization of real estate, carbon credits, and central bank money expands, HBAR is quietly becoming the compliance-first backbone behind the scenes. This is why banks don't talk about HBAR. They're too busy building with it. The timing, why flipping the switch, isn't a meme. You've heard the phrase, flip the switch. But here's the truth. It's not a button. It's a timeline. And here's what's happening right now. ISO 20022 is now active across all major financial institutions. Ripple is settling CBDCs cross-border in real time. Stellar is connecting fiat and crypto across Africa and South America. XDC is embedding itself into UN-backed trade finance corridors. HBAR is running testnets for programmable digital cash with banks and central banks. The infrastructure is laid. The institutions are on board. And the only thing missing, public awareness. Retail doesn't know because they're not supposed to. The flip won't come with a press release. It'll come with a liquidity crisis, a regulatory shift, or a systemic breakdown that forces banks to activate what they've already built. That's the moment where XRP, XLM, XDC, and HBAR stop being speculative tokens and become the rails of a new global financial system. So here's the deal. You're not early anymore. You're on time, but barely. If you hold XRP, XLM, XDC, or HBAR, now is the time to understand what you're holding. Because the people who don't, they'll chase the pump. They'll ask, why is it moving now? But you'll know. You'll know that the switch wasn't flipped for you, it was flipped around you. So position accordingly. Smash the like button if you're still watching. Share this with someone who thinks the old system is still in charge. And subscribe to Be Crypto Smart, because you won't get these insights from mainstream channels until it's too late. This is the future, and it's already live.